Last week, I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
A rogue virus. No jobs. Sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
We understand an upside-down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. The next greatest generation is now.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch ahead!
The news says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables. But last week, I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire.
I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
A rogue virus. No jobs. Sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NJCAAE match of the week for Rainbow Six Siege. I'm McCready, joining you from across the pond, and on the side of the Americans themselves and the Canadians as well. Yeah, we're going to go for that. Fellow, you're going to be joining us. You're going to be bringing this action to their screens, just like I am. How are you feeling about this, buddy?
Pretty happy. You and I haven't gotten to chat in quite some time, man. You were one of the main people that got me up on PC, so I feel like it's only fitting for our debut cast, or at least my debut cast in here, to be with you by my side. So, since we are a little behind schedule due to some players not having the game installed because Ubisoft always loves to troll a broadcast every now and again, let's get this show quickly on the road to talk about the two teams in play of St. Clair's College versus Southside Virginia Community College, get their rosters up on the board so we can all talk about their lovely players, and then just continue on through with map bans and all that, etc., etc. You guys know the drill by now.
Yeah, now I haven't actually casted Siege in quite a while at the moment. It's coming up to 2 months, so this is really exciting for me to get back into it. I'm looking at the teams from St. Clair College, or the St. Clair Saints as they're called, and the side of Southside of Virginia Community College, or Southside Panthers. And honestly, the fact that most of these players are first year and a couple of second year, I think mainly towards the Panthers side, this, you know, that first year, I really like that because that means these are very fresh teams coming into playing with each other. They may not be used to each other. They may be finding their groove. I feel like that's where the Saints might have an advantage if there is one to be found. I know that the Panthers, they're very defender-sided in their kind of mindset, like with the favorite operators we had a look at earlier, fellow. You know, they were all defense operators. So, I mean, I'm looking at this and I'm saying, well, there's a couple of things to infer from there, but let's not waste any time.
Yeah, let's go and see what maps we're heading to, and then we'll hop right into the gameplay. As I'm pretty sure everyone is at the edge of their seat, both the players and also the viewers of this evening. So I think the maps that we're heading to for this evening are going to be, drum roll please, Coastline up first and foremost, and then might as well name off the other two maps. It'll be Club and Cafe. But we have the game already ready up for all of your viewing pleasures, and we had to talk about the bands now, McCready. I'm wondering what we're going to be having here this evening, whether it be some interesting bands, maybe unorthodox or out of the ordinary. I mean, on a map like Coastline, you could almost always expect one random / comfort band, and today it's gonna be a Cali on the chopping block. I have never seen this happen, Adam.
Well, immediately I'm looking towards Ruins and saying, well, that's what's really standing out to me. They want to avoid all that window play. They want to get rid of it. They want to get Coastline exactly why it's renowned in the competitive map pool and get that fragging potential in. Clair's going to be joining Cali in the sin bin, actually. That means that we're going to see very close range combat. You're not allowed to sit outside unless you take a DMR, and at that point, realistically, in a comp game, you're not playing it right. So a little bit of, you know what I'm going to say? You're making sure your team can't play anything wrong. Now, Rook is going to be taken away as the defense side. And looking at it on a map like Coastline, the operator bans aren't as important, but there are a couple of operators you do expect to be taken away. The Ace for one, I believe. And on the defensive side, I normally expect to see a Valkyrie or maybe a Goyo taken off the board, maybe even an Aruni.
Yeah, these are not normal bans. The Jaeger pick, although not picked all that often, it is a very interesting ban. Now you're forcing both teams on their defensive sides to bring out a Wamai almost every single round if they want to run any type of area denial, either that or maybe some Aruni Seer Gates, but those are a lot more difficult to use when just trying to burn through stuns, etc., etc. So it does limit that playing field, and it can allow for a lot more grenade play. And I was gonna make a joke because you said you would need to bring DMRs. We might have a Dokkaebi up on the board, and funny enough, look at what Union Jack insta-locked. I'm hoping he can do his best Damn One Kia impression, because that team loved bring out the Dokkaebi during the Swedish Major on Coastline in particular as well.
Yeah, and that's a very exciting thing. Lion can bring a DMR as well. So, I mean, it's all up in the air at the moment. But the big thing for me is we are going to be seeing that Wamai on the board. The other operator that I really want to talk about with this Jaeger ban is that Warden the King is going to be bringing. I mean, I looked at that Jaeger ban and I simply said, it depends. It's in the hands of the Saints and St. Clair, really. They're in the position of they can decide how they want to play. If they want to play more aggressive, maybe play into that Warden. You can go peeking these smoke grenades, these flashbangs. You can get aggressive, but that gives them a lot of freedom to move around. And we're going to see Penthouse being our first site. Typically a site on Coastline that you don't expect to see that much. That was until this little rework, isn't it, fellow?
Yeah, actually to extend into VIP makes this site much easier to defend. You also see extensions coming through the 90 part of the map as well, but it's not looking like that will be on the option board here for St. Clair's. They're just sticking around near VIP and going on a bit of a light roam. And speaking of roam, I like what Southside is actually bringing to counteract it. They've got a lot of aggressive picks. That line you mentioned, they've got Jack on the board and Union Jack, all fantastic intel gatherers to start a very assertive take on Coastline, which is such a small map. If you get that time management on your side from the get-go, it could really make early picks very possible. But Rapid going in for an aggressive swing, runs out and shuts down Union Jack before being ripped to shreds by the Jackal. Already a 1-for-1 trade as SVCC, they're just running up white, but I don't think they droned it at him, and Kinger just gets an easy 2K, and the round's already over, with St. Clair coming out of the gate swinging and taking round number 1.
Swinging, hitting, and absolutely dominating in that round. That white window, definitely what you want to look to. We like you said, we saw Rapid. It did exactly that. Jumped outside, was able to find that opening pick, couldn't find the second. But as soon as Rapid had died, we could already see that Kinga rotated to that top right window, was able to jump out as well. You're saying, well, we want to spawn people, we want to catch them off guard. And that's a very good way to do it. If you rotate over with that Warden, you jump out just after a run out, you're able to find a good number of kills. You're able to really just shut down that momentum. And SVCC, the Panthers, they might be a little bit more careful. I think that's very much represented in their operator picks. Instead of that Jackal, instead of that Buck that we're seeing, we now have a Nomad, a Monty, a Blackbeard. These are operators that you will take that more defensive playstyle with. The Nomad's going to be great at shutting down lines of sight, but St. Clair, that's a very strong way to start out the game itself. We talked about aggressive playstyle. We talked about extending into VIP, but ultimately, all you needed was one window.
Just so happened to be the white window, matter of fact. 2 runouts on the first round. Quite a shocking start. And I don't think St. Clair will be as aggressive as they were on that first round in Penthouse. Opting to go Hookah this time. They've got a little bit more of an anchor-based team comp, rocking the Echo in the hands of JM Beast. They've got that Warden in pick yet again, but he was one of the players that ended up going for the run out, and this time around his aggression will be transitioned on towards a spawn peak, leading towards the double door towards Aqua. If someone ends up spawning Ruins and ends up taking the right direction on the attacking side, they could be caught with their pants down perhaps, but looks like Plim is the only one spawning on that western side of the map, and he'll be going on the left, so he's not going to run into that Warden just yet. So look on the bright side, no one's died in the first couple moments of the round, and as I say it, JM Beast in the middle of Sunrise will annihilate the Nomad and removes that flank watch off the rip.
I heard what you were saying, and I immediately knew what was happening. I looked at that, I saw the player over towards Sunrise. Unfortunately, the attackers, they don't. For example, Servitoris isn't able to spot that player, will still be able to find the trade, at least making sure that you're not at a 2-player deficit. But Rapid, over towards that kitchen, can be pinched out if JM Beast is not on their game completely. That Monty, though, not entering the building. 2 minutes left. The rest of Southside Virginia, though, wasting some time. That Arena Gate going out just made life a lot harder. Now, you could have gone in before that was deployed, but now you have to forfeit that HP. You're playing alone. And suddenly, you're watching some of your players start to drop like flies here. St. Clair, they finished second in those playoffs, and you can kind of see why. The aggression is there. They're able to land these shots and pick apart these players. Panthers are very much struggling to get comfortable at the moment, but Rapid is going to be taken down by the Monty. The C4 of Tyler going out, but will not find its mark. Instead, looks to the bullets to do that. Won't be able to find anything. But yet again, fellow, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing the Virginia Panthers not really wanting to take many steps inside the building.
No, they're just kind of poking around, trying to maybe allow someone to overextend, but St. Clair still has that slight advantage, but the key word is slight. Jones locking out the Echo, but through the shield, I believe he managed to down the Blackbeard despite that, so it's all up to Jones, who's just sitting there, not moving a muscle. The Rock is his name, and only now will he begin to budge, but Charles is there to run out and just shut him down. A second round for St. Clair, as I feel like Southside could be having better options here on their attacks, but they're just they're a bit sluggish at points, and I feel like they really haven't been doing all that well in the very beginning of things, McCready.
Yeah, I feel like the aggression that we've been seeing out of St. Clair is definitely, it is not helped at all by the fact that we're seeing Southside Virginia. They're playing into it quite a bit, and they may not be aware of this, so, you want to give the benefit of the doubt. Simply put, what I'd say my approach to this is you go for a little bit more structured push. You look towards the old takes for the hookah billiards site, and you look towards VIP. You take control of that VIP area very quickly. You start moving towards, the VIP side, your luggage side. You can open up these crossfires. You can start putting St. Clair's in positions where they aren't necessarily in control. That's a very big thing for me, but we'll have to wait to get back to that next site. We are now going to be heading to the double bar setup. Normally you got a kitchen, but that's not going to be the case. What I'm interested in, though, is the Panthers. The lineup it's quite interesting. You have the Amaru for that fast, aggressive action, and the rest of the lineup definitely fills us in. Your Blitz, your IQ, your Ash. These are very fast, high momentum operators that you really want to step in for these fights. St. Clair, they might have a match on their hands, especially with this Blitz. That's going to require that teamwork. We've seen a lot of individual play from St. Clair. Let's see if they can step up.
I hope so, but the biggest problem isn't the lineup by Southside, it's their lack of intel gathering. There have been very few moments where they actually drone ahead of where they're planning on pushing, and that's allowed certain players, like the Nomad of BLN last round, to die almost immediately once they spawned in, and immediately allows St. Clair to get that early advantage, and it just allows that forward momentum to continue throughout the entire round. So if SVCC doesn't even begin to work on those basic issues, it's not going to matter what they'll end up bringing, as there's still a very high likelihood of them losing out a majority of these rounds. And the lineup, it's very aggressive, and I think that's something SVCC needs to improve on as well, so I like it a little bit, but I would have preferred something to help out with that intel gathering, possibly a Jackal again, or maybe even an Iana, that she also can bring out fragmentation grenades. But it's only going to be a matter of the gunfights as of now. It's just a bloodbath inside of security, as St. Clair will still be on top for a little while, but at least BLN on the IQ has gotten control of security, and they can start to make that push in towards Blue Bar, but no one's cleared out Bathroom. Kinger gets a spray down on towards Sir. That's going to bring things into a 2-on-4. JM Beast, he may be down, but he can get revived. The only one to respond so far has been BLN. He's been lighting up the kill feed and now needs to fight here in the 1v2. It's possible, but he still has to pick up Case on top of that as well, and doesn't even have any intel to play off of as of now.
Yes, and the sprint will give away the position. Rapid running out of ammo. We'll have to try and land the shots, and we'll be able to do that. Very, very close there when you look at some of that rounds go through. You get the Deagle out, and you panic. But ultimately, for the side of St. Clair, that was another controlling round. They were able to shut it down very early on in that main lobby area. They were able to catch them off guard. And yes, we did see BLN being able to get that pinch around. I really like that. That was a very good approach to it. You say, okay, well, the issue is this player insecurity. They've just been able to take out the Ash, and we need to get that Blitz. Sorry, we need to get them pushing in. We need to have that player dealt with. That's what they did. They were able to find it. But then as soon as that happened, my question was, what were the next steps? You have control of that main lobby area. How are you going to push? And I feel like St. Clair, they're just taking control of this maybe uncertainty by Southside Virginia. I think information game, that's definitely something you want to look at. You were highlighting it. There wasn't that much of the droning. So I want to see these support players to really step up. Plim Crumpus and your Jackal, that's where I want to see a lot of this information getting. That Jackal is a powerful operator to shut down a lot of this movement that St. Clair have been enjoying. If you can do that, you can really make them start to feel uncomfortable, and that's where you'll start picking up these rounds. Get that strategy, get that information. That's where you might actually stand a chance in some of these gunfights. You can play it smarter, not just by aiming harder. I feel like there is still the opportunity for St. Clair's to step back and say, okay, this isn't the map for it, fellow. But we can at least try. And then, we get Coastline out of the way. Then it's Club and then it's Cafe. These are maps that the strategy is very important for. But we are still a bit of a ways there. Right now, you have St. Clair's looking to get aggressive at the start again. And they're going to be staring you in the face, wanting this opening gunfight and maybe even this opening C4.
Just aggression on top of aggression just continues to stack up, and they're going immediately for it. This could allow Kinger to get a couple of early picks. Nitrocell gets tossed up, but no one was on the left. It's a dud, so it'll remain that 5-on-5. Union Jack receives a lot of damage dealt towards him, but he is still alive as the E1B will ring on out, not gather any intel as Tyler will not move a muscle. So a little bit of a back and forth, which St. Clair's will once again come out on top as they get that first blood yet again. Tyler eviscerates through Sir, and there goes your main intel gatherer. You still have the Jackal to work with, but losing out on the line is such a deficit, and now that you've lost a second one, it's already a fantastic start here for St. Clair's.
Yes, and Tyler's able to just compound that as well. JM Beast and Rapid just really getting control of that situation. I mean, that kill coming out on Nomad, the information of the Valkyrie camera for Rapid, that was a very strong round from St. Clair. They knew what Southside Virginia would want to do, and they had backup plans. I really like Rapid's positioning of that sauna position. You could just jump out. You have the information. If they try and avoid Tyler and JMB, so the rest of these players over towards that service side, well, then you just run out. You're able to shoot them before they jump in the window. Very nicely set up by the side of the Saints, and I feel like right now we are looking to see a very controlling half of the defense for the Saints of St. Clair. Personally, though, fellow, I don't think this is it for Southside Virginia. I feel like there is a lot of opportunities to bring this back. The Thatcher on the board, actually, for me, is going to be able to bring a lot to the table. They can start to open up these lines. It's like, get rid of utility. I mean, that Valkyrie was a big issue in that last round. The Echo is constantly being brought out by JM Beast. This might be the Panthers reading into that and saying, how can we deal with it?
This is probably one of the best sites to bring Hard Breach to, because if you get that triple wall opened up and the VIP wall, then you can go for a pretty default plant inside a penthouse and have a really long angle to hold and just be comfortable throughout the whole round. But we haven't seen a lot of post positions by Southside, and even any positions where they've entered the building with a majority of their players still alive. They've been mucking about on the basics of R6, and that has been their biggest downfall. St. Clair's continues to punish them due to the fact that there is no intel on the board at all by SVCC, and it is very upsetting. We've seen a full rotation around the map of Coastline with every site picked and not a single objective room lost.
No.
And here comes the aggression yet again. Kinger gets 2 off the rip. Precise headshots landed. It's a 5-on-3 yet again, McCready. I feel like we're in deja vu because we have seen this one countless times already.
I have indeed been in this place before, and we're going to be able to find Kalen being able to find an answer at least, but at the moment, 30 seconds on the round and 2 of your players are already gone. That is a very big deficit to be in at such an early stage. The edge jab will go out to try and curb some of the aggression, but Union being taken away by the window means that this push is not going to be as successful as you'd want it to be. The run out say will come in. BLN will get the information, but Kinga finding a third. Will look to make it a fourth. Won't be able to do that with Tyler, but they don't know. That's okay. Suddenly you will be able to find that 4th kill, and Kalen gets taken down. Honestly, it feels like shooting fish in a barrel on the side of St. Clair's College. That's not a good position to be in for the side of Southside. However, there is opportunities to turn it around. I know I keep saying it because, honestly, fellow, the underdog story is what's driving me at the moment. I'm looking at Southside Virginia and I'm saying, okay, expect these spawn peaks. Simply put, they are going to come. They aren't going to stop. That is something that St. Clair's will continue to do. But what you can do is you can try and deal with them. You can pre-fire those windows, be ready, maybe take a slower path, but it'll keep you alive more than likely. Then what I want you to see you do is call out what you're doing, droning, getting the information, not picking anything unless you really have to. But on the defensive side, however, looking at this Clash 6-bit coming through on Hookah, I expect to see St. Clair wanting to bog down the Panthers. Anyway, like you said, fellow, they're muddying up on the basics. The droning, the entry fragging, it's just not adding up. And with the Clash on the board, that might only be added on to. St. Clair, this could be a very good read of an operator.
The mobile Mira, as I sometimes like to coin it, because you really can gather a lot of intel that almost appears one-sided in some altercations. Not having a Zofia to have those concussive lifelines as well to kind of push her back a little bit could be very challenging when having to deal with Rapid now, because you only have those grenades and maybe some well-landed flashbangs to actually, back her off just a little bit. But even then, if you mess up the timing, you could get killed rather than have it go the other way around. And things have just not been looking hopeful for Southside. Boss G comes out here by JM Beast, but it's not as strong as it used to be, so he will only damage out Zervatoris. Shield pick comes out by Fuse as well, and you can spot out the head just barely above the shield, but he's not able to land that precise shot. But he'll try to his heart's content, don't get him wrong, but still keeping that Fuse alive. A run out is attempted by Kinger, but no one spotted out near Ruins, so it'll still remain that 5-on-5. This is probably the best start here for Southside, as they're just taking a slow approach to leaving the spawn.
Yeah, and that's the big change that I really like to see, is that they're reading into it. They're playing it a bit safer. They're not peeking everything, but right now, St. Clair's want to try and peek at them. Union may not be aware that a player's there, but Kinga is aware of them. Finding two, running over towards that actual position as Rapid will be taken down. That one operator, the Clash, requiring that team play. The battle of the shields, you're just not going to win against Blink Crumpers and that Fuse shield. But you have to deal with that Capcan. Tyler able to find a kill to add on to that. Means the Fuse is in a very difficult position, especially when the rest of St. Clair come rocking up. And Servitoris, you've taken a little bit of damage from that Boss G ACOG, but now you need to make sure that that is the limit. The information will come through of these players running out of them, trying to hunt this kill like we've seen pretty much every single round so far. But the question is, what will be done about it? You still have that one line scan, 3 flashbangs in pocket. You don't have a drone, but you have a lot of pre-placed drones down already. There is information that can be gained. There is a potential win for this, but you're going to need to isolate these defenders. How are you going to do that? Well, exactly what you're seeing from Kinga. You need to be able to catch them outside. Servitoris will hopefully spot that Capcan trap right in front of them.
Looking at it.
Crouch underneath, will set it off and will die. That is a little bit heartbreaking. I said hopefully spotted for a joke, but oh well. Let's move on from that, fellow. Let's talk about the start of that round rather than the end, shall we?
Yeah, because we know that that round ended off with a bang, quite literally, for St. Clair's. So, yeah, you started out taking your time, leaving the spawn, making sure you didn't lose anybody from the beginning. That is phenomenal. But then no one was watching luggage. I mean, I get it. You had an angle, then you got siege timing. I can understand that. But the rappel angle that one of your players was holding, that is just, you're asking to get shot in the back at that point. So at least one of you would have died. Best case scenario there for Southside, and still having it on even terms is not even that great when you know St. Clair's can simply win their gunfights against you. That's how they've been winning a majority of these rounds. Almost all of them have ended in the first minute, except for that round and just that round pretty much. So we haven't seen an intense between either one of these teams.
I'm sorry, I've got to disagree. I feel like a lot of that round was over very, very quickly. Like you said, the big problem for me is the Panthers. I want to see more refragability. I want to see a couple of these gunfights. Not necessarily one just by being better, but maybe playing together for the refrags, pinching these defenders. We've seen it happen before. Can we see a little bit more of it again? Now, returning to this site, it looks like we're going to see a bit of an office hold coming out from the defense, which doesn't surprise me. It's a very easy position to run out of. You can have that support from the Sunrise couches. It's very scary. Now, BLN, I want to say Blin. I really like the word Blin, so I am going to call you that. I want to see, just everyone call it Blin, but St. Clair anyway, they will find this aggressive push. They will be able to find that clash. They bring the shields in, but the flank is there. St. Clair, you have to deal with 2 gunfights, and how is that going to happen? Well, first of all, Kinga going to try and make it happen as JMB finds that first frag. The melee comes out. Is the coordination there to take the shield? It might just be the clash keeping the distance. So, Kalen, you're doing very well, but will be taken away from the flank. And now suddenly 2 players down, but you're able to even it out. There's that refrag, but still a player down. A minute ticking off the clock, and Panthers, this is a very good performance so far compared to the last couple of rounds we've seen. Tyler's going to be a big problem. Holding that window, holding these lines aside, but then the Chunker's going for that flank. Looking to catch them in the backside. This is what I want to see from the defenders as Plim Crumpus is able to find one, make that two. Looking for a third, can you make it happen? You have the diffuser, you might as well give it a go. And Monty's going to be taken down, damaged a lot as the flames will only add. But the Finker Stims, fellow, they are coming in absolutely clutch as Finker will finding that kill and putting us inside a 2 versus 2.
This is a chance here for St. Clair to lock this out. 7-0, completely even terms. And another Adrenaline Surge gets popped by Tyler. That could be a massive opening. ADS gets prepped on out. Union Jack takes a massive amount of damage from that spear, but no one's checked blue bar. BLN is playing so close and rips Chars to shreds, leaving Tyler in the 1 versus 2. Case technically dropped on the ground, and here comes the flank by Union Jag. Following in Big Brother's footsteps on the Tachanka, it will give Southside's first round here on Coastline. But can they continue this success, McCready?
I hope so. I can hear the smile in your face, and honestly, I'm feeling it as well. The Panthers, oh my lord. What a turnaround we saw from them, their attacking side in that round. We were able to see them getting these flanks, these crossfires. The positioning was very well done. And this isn't something that St. Clair's were doing poorly either. I mean, putting Tyler over towards that window as well, having him to come and support this Monty when that office pressure was realized. But Panthers, that was a much better read into the round. That was very, very well defended. They knew what they wanted to do, and they knew what they wanted to get out of that round. I feel like that was the big difference. Their attacking didn't really seem to have this mental checklist of what they wanted to do. It was kind of, yeah, let's get in the building, why not? That round, though, very, very well played from them. I feel like that's what I want to see on a more consistent basis. Like you said, though, we're only going to find out one way whether that can happen. That's why heading to this Hookabilia site. And based off that last round, how do you feel like we're going to see this transfer into this side?
I'm not too sure. The lineup is almost the exact same. The only alteration is the castle pick by Jones. But the situational awareness on the defensive half for Southside has already made major jumps in the right direction. So even if it's not going to be a round win here for Southside, it'll be much closer than what the first half has anticipated us moving forward. They were making flanks on multiple situations, right place at the right time, and they locked out a majority of that map control with the Shamika launchers, and sadly not the Evil Eyes because Servitos died very early in the round, but those could have been helpful as well. But speaking of that map control, we're already going to have Rapid up and dead inside of Hall of Fame as he went for some aggressive control, but BLN, once again, the one-liner, right place, right time, as he gives his team that first blood.
I'm loving it. This is such a turnaround, just in the minute positioning that we're seeing from the attack, from the defenders here. Sorry, I see blue team, I think attack. It's been a long day, fellow, you know? But the big thing for me is you're looking at this player in Hall of Fame, realizing the Aruni's there, but this player can't wait to help out, and Kinga is going to be taken away. Flynn, you just can't be stopped at this point. You've woken up, you've installed Word.exe. That was a joke. But right now, JMB is pushing onto site. You're going to have to come back and help out and do a little bit more work as Tyler finds that second kill. A 3 versus 3. The rotate can't be shut down. That's going to be Kalen finding a frag, but will be traded out. And now Union Jag on your own. You find one, but you can't find two. And that's going to be our first map. Closed on out by a very aggressive push onto site. It was stopped over towards Penthouse, but the Aqua presence wasn't taken away completely. Regardless, though, that was a very promising couple of defensive rounds coming out from the side of Southside Virginia. And heading into our next map, that's going to benefit them even more, isn't it, fellow?
Absolutely. Clubhouse is so different in comparison to Coastline. And if we get to a third map, Cafe is even more defensive favored depending on who you ask. So there are high hopes here for Southside. And the key word I used was close. And that last round, it literally came down to a 1v1. So at least I was correct on that part. But with that matchup being over and done with, we'll get map number 2 ready. We'll be back in a few short moments. Well, with this quick little break coming up. So don't go anywhere. We'll be back just a little while to get that matchup ready and see if we'll actually make it to the distance at decider map.
The HyperX HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
We understand an upside down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. The next greatest generation is now.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
The news says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire. I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
A rogue virus. No jobs. Sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
We understand an upside down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. The next greatest generation is now.
Well, McCready, we got to see St. Clair's take a very decisive victory on out with Coastline, and I'm wondering if Clubhouse will be the same. You and I had pretty similar thoughts that it will be a much less one-sided affair, a little bit more of a closer altercation between these two teams just because of how Clubhouse has played. I'm hoping that comes to fruition because there were a few promising plays and a few promising rounds for Southside altogether. I just feel like, again, basics weren't there every single round, and overall, that was their biggest issue because they were still gunning, they were still finding picks. It just, that intel game was lacking in some situations. That also could be said for St. Clair's too, so they're not really in the clear just yet either, I suppose.
Yeah, and I want to run, if you're watching and maybe not sure what we're on about, I want to run through why we kind of feel like this next map isn't going to be as dominant by the side of the St. Clair Saints. Simply put, you're looking at the way that the Panthers played. It was a bit more meticulous. It was a bit more kind of strategical focused. It was a bit slower. It was a lot less gung-ho, let's go run out on 3 times in the first round like we saw from the Saints, which, you got to be honest, it worked. Clubhouse is more of a map that will support that play style of being a bit slower, a bit more methodical. That's where I feel I would like to see the Panthers improve. Now, as we do jump into the game, I do believe that these Panthers are on the defense. I feel like that's such a big thing for me. When we saw that side switch coming on Coastline, the Panthers, they had that coordination. They had these pushes, these pinches executing at the same time. That was good. That's what they were lacking in the attack. And if they can bring that through onto the defense on Clubhouse, they're really going to benefit. This is a map where you can have that play style really come into its own. I mean, you can have roamers collapse from completely different sides of the maps, but if you can get the timing right and find these players in the back, like I believe we saw a couple of the defenders do a couple of times in those last couple of rounds, that's where I feel we can really see St. Clair start to struggle. However, this is going to be a big test for them on their attack. Where is their strategy? We know they can frag. How are they coordinated? What's the game plan, fellow?
Maybe bring out a lot of nades and util, because it can be a little more challenging to find picks on Clubhouse, especially if a team likes to go for those extensions. A really good example is if you're going to CCTV and cash, you put a Wamai up in rafters, just to name one of the many options you can bring out here on Clubhouse. It's a very refined map because it's been in the comp scene for such a long time. Teams almost always know what they're doing, no matter what tier of gameplay that they're in. And clearly, both Southside and St. Clair already got their comfort bans on lockdown here. Finka off the board, shockingly enough. I think that's not a horrible ban because she brings a lot of util to the table, and so does Capcan. So having St. Clair ban out the Russian operator that Southside brought on both of their defensive, that's really going to put a hard counter here on BLN and definitely get him out of his comfort zone, which is going to be a huge thing. That was one of their top players.
Yeah, I mean, Blinn was able to just... BLN, Blinn... I want to stick with Blinn. I hope you don't mind if you're watching this far.
You know what? I'll do Blinn too.
Blinn is
I'll write
adorable.
that down.
I love it.
It is a good name. I like it.
Yeah.
Chick
Looking at this map, though, I feel like when we talk about that CCTV area, there's a big thing that we've noticed about this ban phase, and that's who's not in it. Now, we're looking at this, we're seeing Thatcher, Maverick, Cade. These are all operators that are still on the board, can be brought, and most likely will. We see Rapid has that Maverick already. And I want to point out to that one position of Rafters. I mean, you're looking at that position, that's become so much more important for the defensive side because, well, if that CCTV wall is going to get open even quicker than normal, where you expect to see it about the halfway mark and around normally at the very latest, well, then that entire CCTV area is going to be open up. Now, you can cover the one side of the server rack from that cache area, but what about the other side? You have to have somebody playing down below or in rafters, or both in an ideal world. Unfortunately, we don't live in one of those. Big thing for me is that King is going to be able to clear a lot of this utility away, the bandit tricking. If you know how to pull it off, that's going to be very important. But looking at that operator lineup, the Panthers decided to avoid that, actually, fellow, and go for the Jaeger instead, which does make sense when you think about this actual execute that will come through from the Saints.
Especially since bandit trick, if there is a Maverick, and what do we have on the board by Rapid? It's a Maverick.
I have a counter to that, actually.
I'd love to hear it, actually.
You just shoot through the hole.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Oh, my. I never.
How did we not see that? He's been out for 2 years and nobody's thought of that yet.
NA brain. That's just what it is. I'm not as giga IQ as you are, Adam. That must be the reason why. I mean,
I cast T3 twice, and here we are. But Blinn actually going for a very aggressive start, trying to say, okay, Saints, we see what you're doing. We're going to do it as well. Going for that gunfight, will not be able to find Tyler, but that is an investment for that late round. Now, Rapid is living up true to their name. Not the Armorer that we saw in the last round of the last game. However, that Maverick not going towards the breach can make very short work of construction. Can start to apply this pressure in Servitoris. If you're not ready, you can beat that opening pick. That is going to be the case. Looking for a second is going to be Rapid. Will be able to find it. Plim Crumpus is taken away. And suddenly St. Clair, they're on site as Rapid finds a third. Kinga looks for that smoke. Will be able to get it as that smoke canister gets deployed. But a 1 versus 5 from Blinn. We're going to have to see something huge. 1 kill coming through the reinforcement on Rafters. Gonna make life difficult as Kalen finds Tyler. C4 and Pocket the plant has gone down. They know exactly where you are. And Kinga's gonna slow everything down. And while I pause for a little bit of breath, fellow, why don't you run us through some of the specifics of that round?
Oh, No rotate hole up in rafters. BLN could have found at least one more. That's so unfortunate. When you're defending up in CCTV, you normally make a rotation hole in one of the two main walls between garage and site. That way you can get back into the objective room a little bit easier, and that wasn't there. It was double reinforced. That's so unfortunate. Forcing BLN to run into open arms and just get, I guess, squeezed to death there, getting crushed. That's incredibly unfortunate, but brilliant play by Rapid. I might as well fly on back to St. Clair since they're the team that ended up winning out round number 1. Just Maverick holing open up Logi, which was reinforced for some reason, and found a 3K because no one was able to detect that minute opening that he made with his blowtorch, and it was so far away that 1.5 optic really was just giving him some easy pickings there to get a 3K off the rip. I mean, brilliant stuff by St. Clair, and it really looked like they completely caught Southside off guard with their pants down.
Yeah, I feel like the aggression, that's definitely what caught them off guard. I mean, you're looking at how quickly that wall was open, how quickly these players are inside. Rapid, like we said, very fast in, taking control of construction. Immediately, you're drawing the attention of the Panthers right behind them. But as soon as they look behind them, they're not realizing what's happening right in front of them. The breach is open. These players are flooding site. They've realized rafters fully reinforce off. You push in, you take control. That retake is almost impossible for them to take place. Now, moving down to the bottom floor, what I expect to see here from the defense is a couple of anchors, maybe one, probably 2 roamers at most. Doesn't seem like that's going to be the case. I think they are going to prepare for this rush, which Kinga definitely looks like they want to oblige with that. LMG will be leading us through oil and will be taking us for this first kill. The fully reinforcement on blue, though, is going to be stopping them and forcing them towards the Aruni, but the Aruni doesn't know the barbed wire's coming out. The pre-fire goes through, and Kalen will find a kill. Servitor is finding chance to answer to it, and 3 attackers remain. Panthers, this might have been a good read, as Silvatoris will take some damage. J and Beast, how do you push? What do you do? There's an Aruni gate in front of you. You're going to have to take these gunfights, and they're not going to be pretty, but Tyler will win one of them.
Not a horrible position. At least you found one for your troubles, like you mentioned. I'm shocked no one wanted to blow up that deployable shield, because at that point, you did not have the element of surprise, but we still have site control. This is not horrible. Plant going down, and the Toxic Babes cannot deny it. I'm not even too sure if they're aware that Beast is actually sticking this plant. It's now confirmed, and we're in the post position. Great setups here with the OSA shield, so you can just sit comfortably behind them and have nothing to deny. Here comes the flank, but he's not going to land a single shot. Plim gets taken down. Union will respond, but he's only good for 1, and it's mostly orange. But now it's a 1v1, and Blinn wins it with the super shotgun. You've got to be kidding me. Plenty of time left to defuse, and Blinn will somehow clutch the round for his team with the double shotgun comp. What are we witnessing here, Adam? And I'm loving it.
We're watching the Panthers being able to show St. Clair Saints that we are not here to just be thrown around like a silly sausage. We are here to play some good damn siege. And Union, oh my lord, Union Jack, I saw exactly what you did. Do not think that I missed it for a second. Plim Crumpus and Union Jack both pushed down blue at the same exact time. The player who was over towards that 3rd position was looking towards blue, killed the Tachanka, but at the same time, Union dropped to the floor, and that player didn't even recognize. They thought it was a dead body, so Union Jack, playing that prone position, was able to find that kill, and suddenly, in that chaos of everything kicking off, the smokes, the information, suddenly on the side of the Saints, you need to look around. You're suddenly worrying about your backside because blue has just opened up, and that is a must-have position. And any position, actually, on that site, you have to have control of blue if you want to win that round. Suddenly, you're creating a lot of chaos. You're making the Saints question, what is happening? What is real? I don't even know anymore, fellow. And that's where we saw Blinn really be able to capitalize. You get in amongst the enemy, you get that shotgun, you just cannot miss if you shove the barrel down their mouth. Now, we're gonna return to CCTV. I want to see these adaptations. I want to see at least lines of sight on that rafters wall. That could have changed the entire dynamic of the round. Like you said, Blinn, in that first round, you could have been able to find that first kill, but no, that reinforcement isn't going to be coming through. St. Clair Saints, however, they will not be bringing the same lineup. And it's a very interesting one, isn't it?
It's frag orientated very obviously there is nothing trying to hide that factor. The only hard breach capabilities we have is Beast's secondary hard breach he's opted for on the Nook, and I feel he could have just brought frags and it would have been a better option. Maybe someone else brings out secondary hard breach, but better than nothing, I suppose. Yeah, this lineup just screams to me that St. Clair's wants to get that first entry. They want to set up for a post plant, and they want to just be incredibly aggressive, which has caught in Southside off guard only one of these rounds. They were actually relatively prepared for a blue rush, and it counteracted St. Clair's main style of play on that basement hold perfectly. But on this site, we already know that St. Clair's has won it once. What will stop them from winning it a second time? So far, not much, as they already have Raptors control and the first pick.
Yes, but Union Jack's able to find an answer over towards that lounge area. JM Beast has got Rafters, but is now facing the big issue of pushing through that Rafters. Basically, you don't. You jump through the window, you're a free meal. The ping will come through, and instead you decide to help downstairs, find Union Jack, look towards Rafters. But Kinga's gonna find the frag. You're just walking up. It's dinner time, and right now the buffet is an all-you-can-eat. Rapid's able to find ahead of Servitoris, and the Frost Mat will be taken away. But JMBs won't be so lucky. A minute 40 on the clock, and you have a little bit of time to deal with Kalen with the Alder. Will try and make something happen, reloading, spotting two players, but can't find the kill. St. Clair will win CCTV yet again, and the question is, where do we want to see the Panthers go next?
Hopefully not CCTV. They are not doing that well on there, and no, please tell me you're trolling. I'd hope for it. I'd like to see them play Gym and Bedroom, especially since they like to bring out the Frost. That is probably her best overall, and they switch last minute, so I'm a little bit more happy than what I was beforehand. Their lineup still a bit interesting. I feel like the Rook was the biggest interest in my mind. Maybe it'll get 6 picked off. I'd hope so. Maybe a little bit of Wall Denial or a Goyo. All right, Bandit. Not horrible, and there's nothing to deny it but the Twitch, so it actually could work out, to be honest, Adam, as long as they can break those Twitch drones. But I haven't seen a lot of drone destruction, period, on the side of Southside, so I could be proven wrong. Wouldn't be the first time, and I won't be the last time either.
Come on, you can't do yourself that dirty. But
well, I just
the big thing I want to touch upon from the side of Southside Virginia is that Servitoris is bringing the Bandits. Sorry. That's such a big thing, because when you look at the speed of how that breach got open last time, there wasn't a Thatcher on the board. There was maybe a Maverick? I don't think so. Regardless, I don't, definitely not, because it didn't have that much of an impact. That wall was open so quickly that St. Clair's could just push in. With this Bandit, you're making them work for it. They don't have the Thatcher or the Maverick on the board this time, so suddenly they need to think a lot more about how they want to do this push. That Amru's a great operator if that Bandit wasn't on the board. You just get up Jacuzzi Wall, you open it up with those half-breach gadgets, and you push in with the G8. As you can see, Rapid doing exactly this second. But this is where the defensive lineup could really comes into play.
Well, all right then. The lack of droning will now be on the side of St. Clair, as Rapid is running around and just get shot out entirely by BLN. That's a great start. And for once, not running the shotgun, too. I'm quite surprised. But hard destruction going off in the background as Selmas gets deployed on out and allows JM Beast to find a quick 2K. Easy shots landed with the AK-12 in hand, and he's looking to find more impact on the round, as it's only the first minute, and we could already see a possible push in towards site. They're aware that BLN, or Lynn, as you like to coin, nowhere near the objective room. So if they get into sight right now, this could be an easy post plant, and there's no kill holes or rotations, and no one's even watching. It's only a matter of time before we go into the post plant, and Southside is nowhere to be spotted out other than Logi. Union Jack gets a vital pick, but Plim is caught at the worst time possible. An easy melee finisher. Here comes Frost from out of nowhere, though, in towards construction up Tyler, but he has no point of entry. There are castle barricades blocking him out, forcing Union Jack in a 1v1, but he'll shut down Kinger. Matter of fact, there is intel to be gathered. Run out comes in through. This could be Beats moment to shine, but it's opportunity. This could allow for a defuse, and Union Jack will stick it. Breaching charge deploy, but it won't kill Union. You've got to allow to get off of the plant, but no! He's not going to get it. There's brilliant coverage and natural cover at that, too. Southside, it looked frantic, it looked devastating, but at the end, they managed to bring it back with some brilliant plays by both Blinn and Union Jack.
Honestly, I feel like it came down to Blinn winning the one inside of that logic position because you're looking over towards... I'm looking at the pulse and I'm seeing, okay, you've dropped the shotgun, you lost that gunfight, but that logic didn't have a rotate. You had the castle barricade over towards the construction door, and that was your big issue. You had to go all the way around, and you just lost control of it. Suddenly, Blinn, you had a very difficult time getting back onto site. You had to push the Ash. You had to take that gunfight. And if you didn't win it, the round would have been over. It would have been a very simple situation of pinching Union Jack. Both of these attacking players have eyes on that diffuser. Very, very simple time to dismantle that defensive setup. Blinn, though, winning the gunfights, you got to give him a lot of credit. Very, very essential in both of those wins, these round wins that we've seen so far. And returning to this bottom floor site, honestly, this is good. This is where I want to see them being able to take control of the chaos again, maybe. But it can only last for so long. I mean, that lack of coordination, you castled off. Like you said, there was no lines of sight created for these defenders to use. That gave St. Clair a very, very simple push onto site. A very simple plan. Very simple post plan that could have been won if a few things went a little bit differently. So the big thing for me is if you're making a site where you could lock yourself out, and you could lock yourself in completely and lock yourself out completely, it makes sense in my mind, fellow. Just hear me out on this one. I sound like a crazy person. But never dig yourself too deep into a hole that you can't get out, because that's the problem you're facing when St. Clair, they get aggressive, they push in, they win their opening gunfight, and they have control of site. How do you go for the retake? Well, if you have set up that site so strongly that you can't fight your way out, how are you going to fight your way back in? That's my thought process that we're seeing right now. Regardless, though, what we are going to see is St. Clair College getting ready for a push. Last time, it didn't go very well from Blue. They had to sacrifice a few players, but this time, let's see how it goes. The Gemini will be leading us through with Kinga. Will be spotting out that Frost Mat and that shield. You realize something's there, and there you go. You blow it all up. You don't even take that chance. The Lion Scan will come through and signals what could be the push onto site as the Flashbang will lead. But 2 minutes left. They're not pushing straight away. The Osa going down. Char spots the Frost, but isn't able to land the shot. The frag grenade will have to do as the smoke canister goes out. It's a 4 versus 4 with 2 minutes left.
Oh, and no ADS is free real estate for the nades. Rapid just narrowly spots the Frost, but is not able to shoot in due time, allowing Smoke to swing, keep him at a distance. This deployable shield is making it difficult to actually get inside of Arsenal, but luckily Kinger is gathering some vital intel to get ready for this inevitable push. Soft pings out the Frost. Blinn not having anyone to back him up unless Smoke gets aggro, but he'll get punished for that attempt, and now it's a 4-on-2. You only need to shut down Plim and Servitoris, and you could bring this one back, but there's a flank, a foot. This is massive for Plim. If he can land these shots, E1D comes out. That'll waste some vital time here, allowing for the plant, but they do not know of his intentions. He could get away with this and find so much open space here for Southside to bring this back in the post plant. He's getting ready for it. Looking around, trying to spot out anyone that he can. Servitos, a vital pick. Down goes Chars, and here comes the aggression. Tachanka finds one. Now in a 2-on-2. This is definitely doable. Impact grenade gets tossed on out, but Plim gets annihilated by Rapid, and Tyler follows suit. St. Clair's in the post plant will keep their team alive, as there wasn't much they could do against the long angles being held by the Lion.
Yeah, I've got to look at that round, and I simply say Plimcrumpus. It's a wonderful name. That play down in blue was beautiful. It was so reminiscent of that coastline round where we saw you being able to catch them in the backside, just ruin them from the rear, where they weren't expecting it, because St. Clair, they haven't had to watch their flanks that often. So when you do catch them off guard, it is a huge advantage. I feel like you spent a little bit too much time inside that position. You needed to start pushing through that blue. Entire area being fully reinforced. You can't rotate around, which means you can't. If they're not going to push into blue, they're not really going to be in that position, because there's very little sight lines you can have. If you go up those stairs, it'll take way too long to get back to site and cover that plan. So in my mind as a player, I'd immediately be thinking, I've got to make a move. You have an older, you have that goddamn DP28, the record player dinner plate. You could go for that retake, you could have coordinated it, you could have struck a lot earlier. But, well, unfortunately the players do not have the same outlines and information that we, the casters, do, so you have to give them a little bit of slack. But turning to this site, I would like to see blue maybe not fully reinforced. Maybe see a bit more of a generic hold of this site, actually. I mean, we've seen a setup like this every single time down in blue, but maybe if you allow a little bit of that fluidity I was talking about, don't lock yourself too tightly into these positions, because you might need to be attacking them anyway later in the round. St. Clair, though, they've done very well. Their refrags have been very, very strong. They've been pushing very, very confidently. And they've been reading into the game very well where they do go for these pushes and saying, okay, this player's here, over towards the back. They can only cover one angle, so let's go for this push together. Let's win this out. That's what I want to see more of, and I want to see Virginia being able to pull it off as well.
I would like to see maybe a little bit of a team composition change. It's too late now as it is the 6th round, so you're going on the attack after this one no matter what happens. And oh man, we're going to have to cut the theory crafting short as it's a 5-man rush down the main hatch. Arsenal, you already have control of it. Plant goes down instantaneously. What an adaptation by St. Clair's, and so far it's paying dividend. Plant will be confirmed by Kinger. That Toxic Babe being denied by the deployable shield. That's such an upset here, as that could have been your main way to keep your team alive. Now in the 5-on-5, there isn't much you can do except try to retake the own the site you were supposed to be defending. You've basically switched roles with your opponents. Kinger gets that first blood, but he'll get traded out by Union Jack. So it's 4-on-4. Now turn 4-on-3 as JM Beast lights up Union Jack for his previous crimes. You've got a hatch player up above, but they're playing so deep inside of Arsenal. Jones has to drop, and it's into a gunfire. It's in a shooting range at this point inside of Arsenal, and Charles ends out the suffering of Southside with a decisive shot with the F2. What an explosive rush by St. Clair's to give them that 6th round.
I feel like, even though I've just talked about Plum Crumpus and his record player, I kind of feel like one at the moment, because I keep on circling back to the way that this is set up is not very, I'm going to say far-sighted. It's not very kind of thought out to the point of you will need to retake. There are and always will be scenarios in which you will not hold that site the entirety of the round. You need a fallback plan. And the big thing for me in that round that you looked at was, yes, you see the smoke rotate to the hatch, start getting those smoke canisters down, but it's too late. The plant's already gone down. They rush in, they catch you off guard. Okay, that's fair enough, but what are the next steps? On that ash wall, you don't have any footholds, so we could see a couple of those players, they stacked up on that side saying, well, they can't know that we're here. This is a free position. It's a really good angle that they've given us. And then you look towards blue. They only have one doorway to come through. They can't rotate through the side. And the hallway itself of long, that was a very good read coming out from St. Clair's Saints. They said, okay, well, this is how they set it up. This is a really strong way to take this in a rush, and that was very well played from them, very well coordinated. And on their defense, we're seeing a very different playstyle already. They have those rotates, they have these lines of sight, they're preparing the player down below to catch somebody like, I don't know, Rapid, that we saw in the first round, sprinting up those main stairs, being able to catch them off guard. I want to say overall, for the Panthers, that was a much, much better first half than we saw on Coastline, a lot more promising, but you're gonna need to keep it going, and this is where I feel like they might start to run out of momentum.
Yeah, this is the make or break for Southside, especially since they did not win out map number 1. Things are not looking the brightest for them, and that's not a great start to your second half. Kinger up to his old habits as they end up dying hard, almost as hard as Servitoris, and Jones decides to join him in the afterlife at the very beginning of the round. A 5-on-3, something we have seen countless times favoring St. Clair on their defensive halves, and it's looking like Clubhouse is not going to alternate from that set path, as again, St. Clair's, they're just in the driver's seat. They're in full control of the 7th round.
Yeah, I'm a creature of habit, and so is Kinger. Getting these opening kills, being able to find the control in the round, that's something they want to do and are able to do. Rapid able to find another kill just to really start to drive it home. And Blinn, we've seen you here possibly a few too many times. On your own, having a 1 versus 5, you find one player, but you won't have that same level of information on all of them, because Kinger had run out yet again. They know where you are. You know there's a player in garage, but what can you do about it without overly exposing yourself? Well, you start running away, take some damage, try and return the shots, but you aren't going to land them. Suddenly, everybody's going to be in the garage looking for the kill, but it's actually going to be Shahs in Billiards able to find that player distracted. And this is very well played coming out from the Saints. Yet again, even when they're getting aggressive, even when they're all rushing to find that kill fellow, they're coordinating. They're putting the attackers in these very difficult positions where you have to take 2 gunfights at once and, well, yeah. Try and fight 2 people at once from 2 completely different angles, fellow. It just simply doesn't work. Yeah. Down to this bottom floor side, I very much expect St. Clair to have a lot more fluid roam. They're going to have these players upstairs because why wouldn't they? It doesn't deviate from what they've done. Their fast, hard style of play has definitely worked out for them in the wider scheme of things. So I'm looking at the operators as well. This is going to be a tough round for Southside Virginia to win, but it is an essential one.
Yeah, you mentioned St. Clair's almost premeditating a lot of what they're implementing on their rounds. There's a process, and they are not really needing to alternate from that, whereas Southside keep getting pushed around, almost bullied on these defensive takes. I mean, that was a very obvious thing we saw on Coastline. Clubhouse, not so much. It is only the first round, but the fact that nothing has changed in that map change overall, it's looking upsetting almost if you're a Southside fan here. And the aggression just being doubled down once again, even 6 picking off that Mute onto the alibi. Although Mute can be very helpful with the roam, his guns are nowhere near as strong as the MX4 Storm. So we're probably looking to have, again, early picks coming out by St. Clair's, so long as Southside is not going to be able to shoot back. And oh no, there's contender number 1, Blinn, not having a clue as to where Kinger's playing at. Will give that first blood again to St. Clair.
Yeah, I'll give a lot of credit to the side of the Panthers, however. They are reading into a couple of these spawn peaks. They are being prepared for it. Unfortunately, Blinn, that angle just wasn't one that you were able to cover. Now, the addition of the fuse here, I quite like because looking at this site, yeah, you can really cause a lot of stress on that bottom floor site. But the big problem for the side of the attackers is that you need to get there first. You need to get inside the building, and that's been the problem. How do you deal with a team that are just winning their gunfights? Well, this might be one way. You have that fuse, you can reinforce, but you have Kinga. He's going to try and take the gunfight. Will not be having it. Servitores just says no. We will not have you here. No thank you. Not what you're selling. But the big problem is you've only cut off 1 head of the Hydra. The fuse charges go off, and that is something that I'm going to equate to a dinner bell that I've talked about before. That is going to be a signal to every roamer where they are that they're vulnerable. They are not expecting this flank. The drones will be going out, but that top floor has not been cleared at all. That's why this Dog Meat scan is very, very important. It gives the information. It gives the audio cue. Big problem, though. Are they in position to deal with it? Well, there's definitely 2 players who aren't. There's going to be Kalen and Union Jag as Tyler gets felled, but the plant is going down. Site control is in favor of the Virginias, but they have to get on site very, very quickly. A revive can happen, but you need to get on support your team. Rapid, Chars, JMBs, they're going to be rushing back to site because if they can get this, they will push this over to the match and series point. Finding those kills, Servitores and Moto all alone. 30 seconds left. That wall is soft, or it's can walk through it. And you can look at this bitch. He hears it. Realizes, okay, there's a player right here. How am I going to deal with it? They're expecting me right here. You get pushed from behind. And JMB finding the triple will make it 4 as Rapid takes out JMB and will get the defuse and pushes the Saints onto series point.
It's the little things, McCready. The lack of commitment by Plim, not reviving his teammate on the ground, it allowed for that easy flank to make it the 1v3. That's such a face
being in that position, simply saying, okay, well, you either revive or you just go. At that position,
you can't be just sitting there moping about, and you don't have time to think. You've got to make the play, whether you leave someone on the ground to bleed out or not. You've got to help out in sight because you're in the post plant. Yeah.
Hear me out, fellow. If you have walked onto the site and planted, where do you think the roamers are coming from? that one person on site, if they don't have that support, if they don't have these power positions being watched, like those main stairs, like those blue oil pit areas, well, those roamers are just going to rush back on site. That's exactly what we saw. That, like you said, they spent a lot of time inside that stock area. There wasn't much movement happening, not a lot of activity, and that was the nail in the coffin, unfortunately. I want to see something different. We're going to Gym Bedroom, and I don't know. I feel like if there's a place for the Panthers to really make something happen, it might be here. Their attacks have seemed very, very 2D in their scope, in my opinion. They've looked at, okay, we'll get this one position and we'll look for a plan, or we'll look to do this. This is the site that kind of helps that the most, isn't it?
Yeah, and you mentioned the lack of, I guess, step making going into that, looking one foot after the other. There was no hard breach on that last attack, and there still is no hard breach. I do not know why, and I'm very upset because you could have opened up a lot of important parts of the map to help you get in that post plant, which, when there is a heavy roam afoot, can allow that to happen if you just play bodies inside of the site. But I guess they'll have to approach this one pretty headstrong, as they don't have anything to get that jacuzzi wall opened up, which is so upsetting because it looks like Southside really wanted to approach from that part of the map from the get-go. So just the little things really go a distance here, Adam.
Yeah, that's just on the board. However, you are going to find out opening trade. That isn't going to be an unpunished kill. JMBs will be taken away as well, playing Crumpus. And you haven't lost those huge players in the round. No offense, Plim. Blind's still on the board. Union is as well. You have the Nomad for the flank watch. You still have a lot of players that can cause a massive impact. But how are you going to use them? Like you said, it's very difficult to get that wall open. It's nigh impossible with no hard breach operators or gadgets on your side. So you got to look towards logic. This is a very good decision. You can split apart this site. If you play this well, you can get a much more structured plan down than I was expecting in this round. But the C4 is going to definitely make the side of Panthers very aware that St. Clair no mod might be going on.
Ooh, Union Jack getting a little bit closer here. Default Cam spots him out, but does he know someone's right next to him on top main? He does not. Kinger will shut him down. Tyler follows suit on a Jones. Case is dropped inside a Logi, and there goes your predominant presence leading towards the site, forcing Blinn and Servitoris trying to make up for lost time and lost bodies. There goes the main roamer of Chars off the board, so now you only have to deal with the site presence, essentially, but you don't have case control, and look at the positioning. Everyone is stopping that collection of the diffuser here, unless Blinn can come from behind and maybe make a nuisance here, but he's not going to land any of his shots. That's such an upset. He'll get a second chance at it, but no one's giving him the time of day because they're aware of his position. Rapid, a runaround near the CC window will blow him up with the MX4 Storm, forcing Servitos in a make-or-break position. Everything is on the line, and Rapid just comes out swinging, dropping down the main hatch from Cons to put Southside out of their misery with a 7-2 victory. The first half for Southside looked much better than the last map, but once the sides ended up switching, it looked basically hopeless at that point. That's so upsetting because I knew they could have done better here.
Yeah, but it's not entirely out of the way because I look at the side of the Southside Panthers, and I feel like there is a lot to work on. I mean, there are good few foundations that you have already to build upon, but like we said on Coastline, if you can get the droning, just that little bit of coordination, just start thinking about getting that down, and then as soon as you get that, then you start looking towards maybe your strategies and how you're actually setting up the site, then you've got a really good base to start moving on from. I feel like there's a lot to learn. Most importantly, how to coordinate. Just practice playing regularly with your team. On the side of the St. Cloud Saints, though, that was pretty much a masterclass in how to run around and find those kills. They played very, very well. They were going at it with gung-ho, confidence, that gunplay. And then even if the gunplay didn't work out, they had the strats to work on off of it. I feel like on the side of Southside Panthers, there's a lot to take from it. St. Cloud, maybe not so much. Maybe just a nice little time to show off what you can do. But obviously, there are things to learn about as well. I mean, Flank Watch was a bit of an issue that we saw from them because maybe they got a little bit too cocky. But regardless, fellow, that's the first two maps done.
Yeah, we are done with the gameplay. We've got an interview stacked up, so we'll get that ready and come back for that. So get to see a little bit of hindsight, I guess, and the thought process of these teams as they were going in through the special team matchup. Well done by St. Clair's, and I cannot wait to talk to one of your players in the next short couple of moments. We'll get that ready for you and be back to start the interview. So don't go anywhere if you're interested in it.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
The news says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire. I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
A rogue virus. No jobs. Sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
We understand an upside-down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. The next greatest generation is now.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch your head.
The news says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire. I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
A rogue virus. No jobs. Sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We've just seen a 14-3 victory on the side of St. Cloud Saints over the Southside Panthers. Now, fellow, it was a pretty one-sided affair for a lot of it, but I feel like the scoreline does and doesn't tell the truth in my eyes. I feel like the Panthers, they did have a really good opportunity to get a couple of rounds on the board, but the Saints, they were, on the other hand, very, very controlling, very dominant. Now, you may have a few questions, and I know you do, fellows, so let's take the opportunity to answer them.
Yeah, I think we've got a JM right here. Hey, it's good to see you up here. Congrats on your win, man. How are you feeling after that one?
Thank you. We're feeling good. That was a good win for us. How are you guys?
Nice. Doing as good as we can be, I guess. I enjoyed my cast here at McCready. It's been a hot minute.
Can I say tired? It's 20 to 2 in the morning. You know, I'll take it. First of all, I do want to ask my big question for you guys is obviously that game, it was a very comfortable win, I want to say, overall for yourselves. And ultimately, I really want to take a look into the specifics. I mean, I think we all have to take a look at that final attacking round and say what went through your head when you were calling it, and then also when you're actually in that post-plan situation and realized that the site heavily favored you.
You're talking about the 5-man hatch top, right?
Yeah, the hatch top, definitely.
We decided that because they were roaming so heavily that it was easier just to drop on in sight, and they don't make a lot of rotates onto site. So we figured once we got into sight, we basically just had to watch one doorway, which we did, and then when they opened the lines of sight with the impacts, it just gave us the direct info for where they were.
Vindication, because that's pretty much what I said. That's good to hear, because I mean, you're looking into a situation, realizing what the outcomes are, and you're saying, well, this is the best route, and it definitely worked out very, very well, I have to be honest. But another question that I've got and I need an answer to is, a lot of these plays that we saw coming out from yourselves were aggressive, they were ballsy, they were running straight in and getting these power positions. I mean, was that confidence? Was that knowing your enemy? Or what was the thought process behind that from yourselves?
That's just kind of our play style. We play a very aggressive kind of game. We like to be the first to take the gunfight, where we value our gunfights a lot more than our kind of intelligence onto the game. So we like just take and win our ones.
Okay. Now, fellow, I know you have got a question or two, so if I'm going to chuck it to you before I take reins again and dominate this whole thing.
I think you ended up wrapping up a nice little gift here in terms of questions. So I'll just add the bow to it. A simple question. What was the thought process behind all the bans that you did for operators on both Coastline and also Clubhouse? Because they were some intriguing ones. I'm not going to lie to you. I really want to hear why you ended up bringing out a couple of these bans that we saw this evening.
The Cali, just because I didn't want to have to deal with someone sitting out on ruins with a Cali. It's annoying. Jaeger was just to switch up and have some fun with the bans. That was a lot of it tonight. We were just trying a few things here and there, seeing what worked, what didn't work.
Okay. Well, I think the last real question that I've really got to bring in is, I think I've given a little bit of feedback, but I think, what's your perspective of wanting to kind of move on forward and improve from this? Because as we all know, you won very well, but there's always little things that you can always take forward, isn't there?
Our coordination, when we're pushing a few times on dirt, our coordination wasn't there, and we ended up giving the round on dirt, when we pushed into dirt, from a lack of communication. That was just our main thing with comms.
That's fair enough, and thank you. And yet again, congratulations for your win this evening. You will be having a very nice evening, I suppose. Probably a little bit of rank stacking, depends on how you guys are feeling, but that is it from yourself on the stream at the moment. And that's pretty much it from us, isn't it, fellows? So let's take a look at what we saw. We saw a 1-7 victory over towards Coastline, a 2-7 victory on Clubhouse, and are there any real closing thoughts from yourself?
Not many that I can think of, except Southside. You had some promising rounds. I thought I messed that up. I did not. You know, sometimes my brain doesn't decide to work. You know, just caster things. It happens. Just lock in on some of the basics, just better information gathering. I think that's the big one, and you will succeed a lot more, especially here in NJCAAE. So that's all I can really hope for, because some of your situational awarenesses, they definitely improved throughout the best of 3, at least in my mind. So at least that has been taken care of. That's a huge net buff. But again, intel gathering, that's something you got to work on. Anything you want to say here, McCready, or
I think it's quite clear when the Panthers were confident, and the same with the Saints as well. You could tell when the teams were confident when they were firing on all cylinders. I think overall it's a case of just getting to that position on both teams in a lot more variety of situations, in your retakes, in your roaming, in those opening gunfights, for example, and then the more broader things like you're attacking on Coastline. Just get that confidence, get comfortable, and have a little bit of a game plan, and you should be all right. The real victory is taking from this, moving forward, and improving as a team, because that is such a good feeling both to watch and to actually do as a player, because I've been there before. I've played in my, I'm going to say university scene. It's college, but it's a similar thing. It's just over in the EU. But it is such a rewarding prospect to go from such losses like this and say, okay, this is where we improve, this is where we get better, and then being able to see it as well. So, fellow, thank you for joining me. It has been a very enjoyable evening, but unfortunately we have come to the end because I have got to go to bed and go to sleep. So thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching. A huge shout out to Colton on the production, and I'm going to make sure that I get this right. I'm going to check very specifically. And a huge shout out as well to Cool Scoots on the observation, making sure that everything looked beautiful and wonderful for yourselves. But we are going to head out, so thank you and have a good night.
Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
That is comfortable.
We understand an upside-down world, but they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Who do you think is gonna fix all this? We will, because our future is the future. The next greatest generation is now.
What will you like today? Another Cloud 2 classic?
I'll stick with the usual. Maybe take a little bit off the sides.
Oh, that's fresh.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
Hey, watch ahead!
The news says Gen Z is struggling. I've got news for them.
I wait tables, but last week I built a field hospital.
I put out a forest fire. I stopped 1,000 attackers.
And a natural disaster.
I've saved lives.
And led a team on patrol.
I serve.
Well, I go to school full-time.
While I work full-time.
The greater the challenge, the stronger we become.
What sound experience would you like today?
I'll have the fantasy pack.
Good choice.
And could you make it a Cloud 2 wireless?
On his way, sir.
Sounds amazing.
The HyperX Cloud 2 Wireless. Legendary comfort goes wireless.
A rogue virus. No jobs. Sky-high tuition debt. Life is trying to put our generation on the sidelines. But we refuse to just sit back and watch it pass us by. Instead, watch us fly ahead. Watch us overcome anything. Watch us rise. Watch us change our world. Watch us become the next greatest generation.
Hey man, I just can't find a comfortable headset. I mean, I've tried everything. Literally everything.
Sheesh, my brother. I got you.